Alright, so I've decided this is going to be the last video I ever make. With this chair, like, it's time for this sun gun to go. I need you guys to understand that. I realize this is about Turbo versus the Beetleborgs, but I've had this chair since I was in high school. And it's gotten to the point where it's dilapidated, and I'm gonna show y'all in another video about it. But it's time for it to go. It's just time for it to go. But that's not what we're here for. We are here to react to Power Rangers Turbo versus Beetleborgs Metallix. Yep, number 1. So far, I think this is the only one he did. I don't know who just texted me, messaging me. Probably that person. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at this because I was supposed to do this anyway months ago. So here we go.
Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. So back in 2011, I had planned to review today's comic. But then I had just reviewed the Power Rangers Zeo comic a month earlier, and people seemed a bit disappointed by how that episode had turned out. I guess they were hoping I would get punched by Mechacara a few more times or something. So I decided it would be best to wait a bit before I did more
Mightily Murder Power Rangers?
So that I had planned on doing never really materialized, and I ended up looking at a bunch of other Power Rangers comics later.
What the hell?
Oh, but I know this one's been something that people have wanted me to go back to, and with the 10th anniversary and my more than well-known love of Power Rangers, clearly it was time to finally cover this sucker.
Power Rangers the movie
Turbo
comic
was the 5th season of the show. The second time they decided to change out the aesthetic of the show along with the Sentai footage each season. This time with Gekiso Sentai Car Ranger. Turbo is not good. If you want to know why I feel that way, well, how fortunate then that there's a whole History of Power Rangers episode on it. But it's better than some later seasons, and one element that gets unfairly maligned is Justin, the Blue Ranger. Rest assured, the concept for Justin is dumb for this show. The 12-year-old who joins the team of teenagers just on the cusp of adulthood, or in the case of the first half of the season, actual adults who just graduated high school, and then morphs not just into the costume, but gains a foot or two of height during the transformation. Yeah, it's stupid, but the thing is that Justin is often the first thing people point to as the big problem of Turbo. But honestly, he's fine.
Yeah, he's alright.
Historically has had abysmal child actors. Blake Foster did well with the material given, and he wasn't annoying or bratty or anything like that. But then you may ask, why did they even do it in the first place? Well, that then brings us to the other half of this crossover, Big Bad Beetleborgs. Saban attempted to replicate the success of Power Rangers multiple times using the same formula. Japanese tokusatsu show fight footage with American actors.
And we will be talking about VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborgs in other videos. We will be talking about that. Because I've been dying to talk about that since as I already discussed about Masked Rider. I'm going to talk about those other two shows because, believe it or not, I love VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborgs. Those were the shows that I grew up on. That and Masked Rider. I grew up on nothing but tokusatsu American shows when I was a kid. And yes, I loved the hell out of them.
You can see people's faces. There was Masked Rider and VR Troopers, but then came Beetleborgs, which utilized footage from the Metal Hero series, Juko B-Fighter and B-Fighter Kabuto, and I look forward to hearing how I butcher those pronunciations. The funny part about Big Bad Beetleborgs, though, it had better ratings than Power Rangers. So why is Power Rangers still on today and Beetleborgs now just a goofy relic? Well, it's pretty simple, really. They ran out of footage. Well, to be accurate, the series that followed B-Fighter Kabuto apparently was even more kid-friendly than they thought could be used, so they just dropped the show. Although the Beetleborgs suits later reappeared in Power Rangers for their 10th anniversary special, but what was the plot of Beetleborgs? Well, I'll give it credit. It's pretty imaginative. And very 90s. 3 kids who are major comic book fans go into a haunted house and unleash Flabber, a spirit who can grant them wishes.
It just speaks 90s. It reeks 90s, and I love it.
Heroes, the Beetleborgs. Problem is, they don't just gain the Beetleborgs' powers, but the villains from the comic escape too. Run amok. The 3 get civilian powers as well, which feels like it kind of defeats the purpose of them being able to transform, but whatever. Also, the haunted house is a bunch of horror monsters present, because why not at at this point. And that brings us back to Justin. He was invented for Turbo to try to win over kids with something taken out of Beetleborgs' premise. It works for Beetleborgs because that's what the premise was. Not so much for Power Rangers. Still, it's kind of amazing that aside from Masked Rider having its backdoor pilot in Power Rangers, there was never any on-screen crossover between any of these Saban shows. An attempt here or there, yes, but never anything concrete except in comics. And that brings us to today's episode. Let's dig into Power Rangers Turbo versus...
Hey, Cara.
Hi.
It's me, Daryl Williams. You know the Grandmaster Ranger?
Who?
You know, from Power Morphicon. From Power Morphicon in Anaheim, California. August 17th to 19th. We've spoken on emails, back and forth, about having you as guest. We're the sponsor for the review you're doing right now.
Oh, right, Steve. Daryl, right. Oh, hey, I see you have the Justice League / Power Rangers crossover on you. Does that mean you want me to review that instead? Because let's face it, people will care more about that.
Oh, no. I'm just looking at these for the pretty pictures. You're going to review the thing that it says in the title.
People are going to point out that on YouTube it's the other way around.
Yeah, I don't care. Shift in the turbo.
Why did you morph?
Because you're going to be doing the legendary Power Rangers Turbo versus Beetleborgs Metallix comic.
Why did you morph?
So enjoy this comic, and I will see you at Power Morphicon in Anaheim, California, August 17th through the 19th, and you have a super mega day, alright, Lakara?
The Super Mega Freeze wasn't a Turbo thing!
Just do the review.
I was going to anyway! What was the point of any of this?
Advertisement.
So let's dig into Power Rangers Turbo versus Beetleborgs Metallix #1.
Unfortunately, I can never even join there because... Unfortunately, I'll never be able to get over there because I live in Baltimore. But one day I'm gonna go to one of these Power Morphicons. Hopefully, once everything stops. You know what I'm saying?
Also, if you are attending Power Morphicon this year, you can get the exclusive Legacy Lord Drakon action figure. If you can't attend, you can simply purchase a non-attending badge and have it shipped to you after the convention. Yay, this episode is dated. The cover is kind of boring, just having the Turbo Rangers in front and the Beetleborgs looming over them. It is kind of funny how in the show, the little kids grew to adult size in these forms, but now they have to be even bigger. We open on a preview page for the events to come. Oh no! How we've dreamed of this moment! A meeting between these two groups of Earth's greatest protectors. Ah yes, the long-awaited crossover of tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills and superhuman samurai Cyber Squad. Yes, those are real things. The 90s were wild.
They were.
Not like this! Not like this! Not like this! How could this happen? Why are two sets of champions about to fight? To the finish! As opposed to fighting to the start! Why was there a pause there? What has come between them? Probably politics. Could it be evil? Or could it be love? We truly open in the Charterville Elementary School, where the three Beetleborgs, Drew, Roland, and Joe, are looking at a bulletin board. Joe is going to be competing in a Young Women's Schoolympics challenge at the state capitol. Ah yes, the Schoolympics, full of such exciting events as pencil sharpening, timed chalkboard erasing, and of course the most beloved event, budget cutting. Jo is a bit unhappy, though, worried about the fact that she's going to be competing against older kids and having to perform in a spelling bee in front of a crowd. Is that all? Don't worry, you'll do great. Yeah, just picture them in their underwear. Haha. During the spelling bee, Jo chokes up and ends up envisioning them wearing more clothes than what they had on. We cut over to the villains. Beetleborgs Metallix was Season 2, where they had a new enemy, Nucus. By this point, the Beetleborgs had actually recruited the artist who created the comic, Art Fortunes, to aid them in creating new technology, but Nucus, in turn, recruited Art's evil brother, Les, to create weapons for his side, too. I'll let you guys decide for yourselves which one is Marvel and which one is DC in this situation. Nucus is having Les create something new. Hurry! This new creation will increase both our capacity.
Well, since that the DCEU was trying to copy off the MCU because MCU is doing spectacular at this moment and has been doing spectacular for the past few years, my opinion, I'll probably do a video about it. I'm going to say the DCEU is the evil side. So, yeah.
For evil. My market research indicates we could have a 30% increase in evil capacity. Nucus wants Les to create a dimensional scanner that will allow them to recruit monsters from other dimensions. His reasoning is pretty sound. All of their attempts to destroy the Beetleborgs have failed, so they could use some allies. And if they won't cooperate, then you can draw evil copies of them. Again, Marvel or DC, personal preference. We cut to Angel Grove, where the Rangers have set up a picnic. This is before the point where most of the cast changed out and the group is just hanging out having fun and good God, Tanya! I guess seeing Justin throw a frisbee was too much for her brain to process.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Kat is apparently going to become a student teacher in the fall. Hey Kat, maybe you can bring your class by my uncle's garage sometime and show them how cars are designed. Tommy, I don't think they design cars at garages. Maybe instead of cars, you should pick up a different study. Like, I don't know, paleontology or something. We cut over to the Turbo Rangers' villain of the season, Divatox. And unfortunately, we see that her nephew Elgar is there. Fortunately, he does not say anything, but if I actually gave numerical ratings to comics, his mere presence would bring the book down into negative numbers. Anywho, Divatox, like Nucus, is scanning other dimensions to try to find some monsters to fight the Rangers. And when two evils this great do the same thing at the same time... Must be really weird when they both eat a sandwich at the same time. Hey, Ugly! Your transceiver wave is in my oscillation scans! That makes me want to poke your nose! No, weak female. Your oscillation scans are interfering with my transceiver wave.
Weak female.
It's like the peanut butter and chocolate of badness. And given how distasteful it is, I'd say it's more like a Mounds bar. The two compare notes about their opponents. Say, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Well, I think so, Brain, but pantyhose are so uncomfortable in the summertime.
The plan is established. Nucus will create a sketch of a changeling monster, Divatox will make copies of it, and then Nucus will create a pocket dimension designed to absorb the energy released by the two teams fighting. They'll force the two teams to fight each other, and the sheer amount of power accumulated will allow them to destroy the two weakened teams. And naturally, both sides plan to betray the other, because evil really needs a team-building exercise. And as befitting the silliness of both franchises, naturally Divatox has a gigantic copy machine.
What the fuck?
Bring me some coins! I'm out of change for this stupid thing! So the real evil was Office Depot? And thus the changelings come off the copier and transform into duplicates of the Beetleborgs and the Turbo Rangers. We cut to the three Beetleborgs working at their local comic book store, using their civilian powers to get everything ready. However, that's when the duplicate Turbo Rangers charge in. Hey twerps, we're looking for those dopey Beetleborgs. We heard you might know how to find them. We heard something about their ratings being higher than ours. They better watch out, or else... Well, there's a reason why you don't hear about Mystic Knights of Tir-na-Nog anymore. Hey, check out one of the comics on the shelf. Too Much Coffee Man, with his sidekick, the Caffeine Kid. They say that the Beetleborgs are on their turf. The three kids have heard of the Rangers, but only on TV. Listen, whoever you are, I'm sure the Beetleborgs don't want to get on your turf, so yak! Earth is our turf, you little jerk. Our territory. We've been putting up the Zordon tag all over this planet. While they start tossing around the kids, in Angel Grove, the 3 Beetleborg clones show up to disrupt the picnic. We're the Beetleborgs Metallix, and we're taking over as Earth's defenders. We're gonna put those Turbo Ranger bums in their place. And we'll rip this place up until they come, starting with this here net, not the volleyball net, you disease maniacs! Justin says that he saw the Beetleborgs in comics when he was younger, but he thought they were heroes too. Good lord, this artist really had it in for Tanya. Aside from having really skinny legs, apparently her upper body is really built compared to her lower body, and her arms are super long. Are we sure they didn't plant a changeling spy in the group already? Back with the kids, they decided to take things outside to keep the store from being wrecked, using a power they had acquired to transform into small bugs and zoom out of the door. Both groups of heroes morph into their respective forms to fight off the duplicates. And now, just for you, audience, Justin's ass. Apparently, the Beetleborg clones tripped them in mid-morph. Not that we can tell, it looks like they were already done, but this lack of chivalry really upsets the Rangers. Tripping at us before we're done shifting, shooting at us while we're down. Even Divatox's thugs were never that low. These cheaters are some of the most dangerous threats we've ever faced.
What do you want from us? We're evil! Evil!
Like, seriously? For the record, Divatox's forces would eventually completely annihilate their home base,
seriously,
beat the crap out of them, steal their cars, and assist in draining Zordon of all his energy. But oh no! The Beetleborgs are kind of rude during your transformation sequence.
Right, no, can we just talk about that? But it wasn't this team that got their shit rocked. It was actually TJ's team, which is unfortunate. Which ultimately is the reason why everyone blames the kid, Justin, because people say he brought forth that because he stayed and stuck around. But compared to the Beetleborgs, they actually accomplished their goal. They got all of the monsters back in the comic book, and I think they got to keep their powers too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they got to keep their powers as well, and they got to still hang out with Flabber.
A transformation sequence that, by the way, only exists for the sake of the audience. In Power Rangers, we actually have seen it many times before how it looks from the outside, and it's just an instantaneous change. The duplicates of the Turbo Rangers head out to confront the Beetleborgs. We knew you little thieves were the Beetleborgs all along. We just wanted to see how chicken you were. Yeah, now that you've laid an egg, it's time to pluck your feathers and roast you. You're Chick-fil-A and it's Sunday. That means you're closed. The duplicate Pink Ranger uses a bow that fires several shots at them, the other duplicates following suit with their guns. Shooting before a fair fight gets started? Even Nucus's worst monster didn't fight this dirty. Why do the good guys keep expecting the villains to fight with Marcus of Queensbury rules?
Evil will always triumph, because good is dumb.
Both teams of shapeshifters retreat into portals, taunting the heroes to not follow them back to their home base. And of course, since they think using a ranged weapon or attacking their opponents are just the worst sins imaginable, both sides don't see an obvious trap and pursue. The shapeshifters change to rocks to disguise themselves and let the two groups fight each other in the pocket dimension they arrive in. And so, the most heartbreaking battle ever fought by either group begins! More like head-breaking. Adam's coming out of that portal face first, and that helmet's gonna crack when it hits the ground. Also, I seriously don't think anyone's thinking this is depressing. In fact, I'm sure any little kids who are fans of both were thinking that this is the most awesome thing ever. And so the fight begins, each Beetleborg taking on usually 2 at a time. However, because they can't stop talking, each side begins to express confusion about the statement.
And it's a damn shame this didn't get realized in the show. It's a damn shame that we didn't get a crossover. It really is. It really is. Like, come on now. I would have loved to see this on my TV screen. That would have been great.
They make about each other. And as heroism and justice cry bitter tears, evil laughs. I think the narrator is more upset about this situation than the heroes are. And as they continue to fight, the confusion just keeps building among the heroes, who are unfortunately still being kind of dumb. Trying to double team me, huh? That's just your style. No, it isn't. Look, we'll fight you one at a time if that's what you want. I mean, as far as I know, you guys just attacked us for no reason. But now that you're complaining about it being unfair, I'll capitulate. Roland and Justin accused the other of the duplicitous acts their doppelgangers committed. What? You jumped us when we were in our secret identities as kids! Whoops. Okay, I know that whoops for him was about him getting tripped over, but it just feels like he blurted out a confession that his secret identity is a little kid, and he realized how stupid that was. I know the duplicates already knew that, but now I can't help but think that that's a constant problem for him. Everyone suddenly realizes that something is up given the different ways they're fighting from before, with them finally talking about it and who they are. Have a mentor, Demetria, and this cool robot Alpha to help us. Demetria refuses to speak to us in anything other than questions. And
yeah, fuck that bitch.
Is so much better than our old one, who didn't speak to us like an embarrassing adult trying to be hip with the kids. Joe talks to Justin, who admits he's thinking of quitting the Rangers because of the age disparity. Yeah, they say I'm good enough and I should just do it, but I just feel outmatched sometimes. I'm just really afraid I'll let them down someday. Wow, that's actually a pretty compelling and interesting angle to take on Justin. It shows human vulnerability, especially for little kids. After all, one of the ideas behind Justin and similar characters to him is an audience surrogate for the little kids.
Yeah.
Sure, it's not a successful idea, but showing kids that it's okay to have self-doubt about your abilities, especially if you then show them overcoming it, is very inspiring. Joe has the best message in response to this, that the real way to let them down is by quitting, since they want him to try. And it's complete bullcrap. It's actually a lie so he can help Joe's issues with that school competition thing you all forgot about. Power Rangers Turbo, giving you interesting ideas and concepts, and then squeezing all the life out of them like you were wringing a sponge. Holy crap, guys, I think the shapeshifters appeared again. She was talking to Justin a second ago, but now it's Adam. Anyway, since the two teams are no longer fighting, the villains are no longer gathering energy from them. As such, the shapeshifters revert back to human form. Although, to make it easier for the audience to know which is which, they shift themselves to look like strange combinations of the two groups. Call us the Big Bad Power Ranger Borgs Metallix! Go Go Beetle Rangers Turbo! Still more dignified names than Super Mega Force. The phonies! They're turning into bizarre mix-ups of our two groups! My god! Bootleg toys of us have come to life! I should note that another thing is that sometimes the word balloons aren't placed very well. For instance, in this panel, one of the changeling yells, "We'll find your hair under those helmets and yank it off!" To which Joe responds, "Fine with me! I mean, even I'm sick of how hard this is to manage." She's actually responding to Kat saying, "Mind if we give you a hand?" But the layout of the word balloons completely screws it up. However, you can quickly forget about that because by "give you a hand," what she means is having her and Tanya grab Joe by the feet and swing her around like a flail. Yes, sir, teamwork and cooperation beats meanness and sneakiness any day. What especially works is Justin twisting his legs in a weird way to kick some of the duplicates while resting on Roland's back. After some fighting, the shapeshifters are in retreat and the Rangers get contacted by Alpha 6, who's been trying to break through the dimensional interference. He informs the group about how the dimension is absorbing their energies while they fight. Let them beat us up. Got it, Alpha? Nah, the solution is to summon the Zords. I've analyzed the Beetleborgs technology. It's compatible with Power Ranger technology. Technology? No thanks, I'll stick with my computator if you please. They lose contact with Alpha while the shapeshifters combine together, creating a giant monster/robot. Well, I mean, if they were monsters and shapeshifters, can we call it a robot? Yes, we can. Anyway, Alpha had informed them that they were using the energy to create a permanent link between both Earths. But if they try to fight the giant monster, the link will be made. Justin comes up with the idea that maybe they can conserve their energy a bit by combining forces, mixing their technologies together. Seems to me like that would overcomplicate things and require more energy, but hey, I guess they're compatible. And after scanning each other and finding their optimal configuration, they assemble themselves into the greatest, most powerful force for good ever seen on Earth. The Ultra Mega Turbo Beetle Battlezord with Turbo Ram Metallix mode.
This makes no sense, and yet it's working.
That name is the greatest toy commercial ever, and I am so angry right now that those Zords and vehicles aren't compatible. So yeah, they defeat the monster while Divatox and Nukas claim it was the other one's
They
fault.
should have been.
I should never have trusted that cheesy monster of yours. Its exploding has disrupted the vortex. All the energy we stored from the fight leaked out. Nuh-uh, my monsters are perfect. You need to get a new Quasar toner cartridge for that cheap monster copier of yours. Can this marriage be saved? Also, I love how it's an actual line of dialogue in this comic that a villain blames a piece of office equipment for failure. Anyway, a temporary rift opens that will return everyone back to their respective universes. Somehow. And so our comic ends with the two teams saying their farewells, hoping that someday they'll get to reunite. I'm not sure, but we can always collect their comics, and then the Beetleborgs comic gets cancelled in preparation for a reboot. Anyway, this comic unfortunately sucks. It almost works. The premise and plot are fine. They're shown as equals in terms of their sense of honor and their power levels, which is always a plus for a team-up. It's all in the little things that make it suck. First and foremost being the artwork. They had 2 pencilers and a ton of inkers on it, yet the artwork is pedestrian at best. Leaving aside the frequent fails of proportions and weird distortions of the human body, the backgrounds are very basic and undetailed, with a lot of stuff just looking so threadbare and boring. Speaking of boring, the panel layout is also quite basic. I know it's a mini-comic, so there isn't a lot of space to work in, but geez, in a 60-page comic, only 2 pages have more than 3 panels.
That's
I would
unfortunate.
like more character interaction, and while I'm sad that Justin's remarks were just to inspire Joe, it's a nice bit of character forethought. I just wish there were more moments like that. Remember, it's not just about the 2 teams fighting. Anyone with a few toys can do that. It's about the characters meeting and comparing and contrasting. That's what a crossover is really all about.
Yeah,
next time, it's back to Patreon-sponsored reviews for a few weeks. But these ones all fortunately can be linked to past episodes in one way or another, continuing our theme for this year. Starting off with the long-requested comic, Diesel.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wish for Beetleborgs to come back, but it was a 90s thing. So I don't know if it could fit. The same thing with VR Troopers.
The time for your contest has come. Speak aloud your readiness to begin the contest, and it shall be done.
I'm ready.
The contestants are in place. Fight with honor. Fight with pride. But most of all, fight well. Begin!
Scarn?
One for me, Welp.
Gotta come out of there sometime, asshole!
Indeed. There's no shame in surrendering to your better, you know.
There is if they're not my better.
2 for me and none for you. Care to reevaluate that opinion, critic?
I didn't say you weren't a better fighter. I said you weren't my better. Majesty.
What does?
How you lost your kingdom.
Well, being betrayed by one's own brother.
Oh, not that part. Sure, that stings. But all those people who were formerly underfoot suddenly rising up against you? After all, you're their better, aren't you?
I am their better! Superior military! Superior intelligence!
And yet here you are, having to fight in a tournament against someone beneath you in the slim hope you can get back your power.
What trickery is this? We agree no outside forces! Just one weapon against another!
I'm still in the room with you, asshole. You just need to find me. By the way, that's one for me now.
You distracted me! Come out and fight me with honor!
Oh yes, I know all about you and your honor, Skarn.
What do you mean?
See, I did my homework and read your dossier. You've personally overseen massacres of innocent people.
Innocent? By right of conquest they were mine to command! Those dogs refused to leave the areas that my soldiers needed for resources! Their paltry lives were nothing next to the needs of my soldiers!
And yet your brother didn't...
And that's the reason why I don't like to be called king. So for any of you wondering why I don't like to be called the word king, that's the reason why. People who call themselves kings and queens are the lowest forms of scum because they think so damn highly of themselves. That they're just incapable of wrong. In the black community. Not in anything else. But in the black community. I know for like medieval times that it's the same thing. I understand that. But for us, we act like a bunch of snobby assholes. When we call ourselves kings and queens. We don't deserve it.
Agree, did he?
He was always weak! Always taking pity on those animals! When we were children, he used to sneak food off the dinner table and give to those wretches that mop the floor.
I see that, Linkara. That's a box of that of Spider-Man Spider Slayers. I need to get that.
And what the hell made you so much better
I need to get that toy.
I was the king! All under my rule must live and die by my command! While he was out whimpering at the graves of those wretches, I was leading the charge to keep our kingdom intact! We were always under threat! From the Atrexi and their heresy, from the perversions of the Star Raiders, from the resistance groups that refused to bow to their masters. I was the one who was slaughtering them! On Galantor! On Spectrus Minor! On all of them! I was defending our very way of life! While he was getting drunk on their filth! I hope you're watching, brother! Do you remember Spectrus Minor? Do you remember when I plunged my sword into the leader of the Spectran army? Our battle with him lasted hours, brother! Hours! I did not call for help! I did not cry out when I was hit! I merely struck back! And when it ended, I placed my sword into his heart again and again and again still! And you took it all away from me! I command scraps! When once I commanded an empire! And you did it! You ruined everything!
Damn.
Yeah. My stuff all over.
That's some good acting.
This contest is ended. The winner, Linkara.
No!
Levidian Scar, you will be returned to your own dimension now. While you have experienced the defeat, know that...
Revoke that decision, Temlins!
The victor has been called.
Revoke it. I am Levidian Scar, commander of the Allurian Invincibles, emperor of the 20 systems. None deserve that gauntlet more than me.
The victor has been called. Cease your actions now.
Declare me the winner, Temlins, or I shall slay this cur and claim victory
Get him.
that way.
Eliminate him.
I shall not be bullied or commanded by it.
Life-threatening actions against other contestants are not permitted.
But
The victor has
Been called. You lost.
Skarn are no longer welcome at this tournament.
Bye.
Congratulations, champion, on your victory.
I'm Danielle Dentari.
And I'm George Reese.
And we'd like to begin today's post-contest recap with a very important reminder for all the not infinite.
So please, be humble in defeat and magnanimous in victory.
Or, like the loser of today's contest, Levidian Skarn,
You'll find out what it means to get on their bad side.
Alright. Well, that was nice. That was really good. That was really good. But yeah. I really miss Big Bad Beetleborgs and VR Troopers. I miss them. I really do. To me, those were good shows. I know for some people, it had issues and flaws, and I get that. I understand that. But I still enjoyed them. And I'm going to be talking about those shows, because I have so many memories about those shows. Those shows, along with Power Rangers, transformed me into the person that I am. It transformed me to the kid I am. It transformed me into the person I am. Everything on this channel that I talk about molded me into the person that I am now. So, expect to see that. As such, this has been Master of Sakurai. I will see y'all again next time. I'm out. Peace.